Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, SB. I am so glad that you made it back. So, today we are going to be making some panties and not crochet panties. Whoa, what a surprise, right? I usually do crochet or something like that, but today we're going to be sewing. So this is what I made in the video, spoiler alert. And yeah, it doesn't look like much because it's a very, it's got elastic on it, so it's not gonna look. Anyways, I'll put up a picture somewhere where it, I have it pinned down and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna be making this today, and I'm gonna show you how, or rather give you an idea of how to trace one of your commercial underwear. You're only going to need maybe a yard of fabric. If you buy a yard of fabric, you'll probably be able to get maybe just 3 pairs or something like that, depending on how you cut it out. I did cut mine on the fold, which you'll see later. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I am so glad that I am back to making videos. I found my motivation, so hopefully we will get more videos put out, like maybe once a week. If not, twice a week. If not that, then once a month. Who knows? Anyways, continue on, keep crafting, and I'll see y'all later. Okay, so as you heard in the intro, today I am going to be showing you how I make my underwear. And basically what I did with this pattern here is I just traced one of my thong underwears, and I'll show you how I did that here in a minute. But here is my little pattern. I haven't tested this pattern, so I'm not really sure how it's gonna come out. I did do the tops a little straight, and I feel like it needs a little curve, so we'll find out. Anyway, so some of the materials that you're gonna need are, of course, some scissors, and you're gonna want some big fabric scissors like this, or a rotary cutter to cut your fabric. You might also need a safety pin if you're going to be adding like elastic. You're also going to need something like this, some sort of ruler to tell you exactly what's going on, how big your seams are going to be and whatnot. And if you're using like really slippery fabric, some glue stick would come in handy as well. At least that's what I've heard. Haven't really used it, and I'm going to try that technique here in a minute. Of course, you're also going to need your pattern and some fold over elastic. I also bought this elastic at, I think I bought it at Walmart. I think they have it at Hobby Lobby and Joann Fabrics, and this one's 1-inch fold over elastic, which, there we go, by Dritz. And of course with these, they don't have many color choices, so you gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, so I'm gonna get all of my materials together, and I'll show you how I traced this out. So here is the underwear that I used to make my pattern. And as you can see, this underwear has seen better days, but I promise they are clean. And the little black marks that you see everywhere is from my pin whenever I was tracing it. So yeah, be careful when you're doing this. So if you're just about ready to get rid of your underwear, all you would do is just cut the seams here. Just, go wherever you find a seam and cut it, and then just use that as your pattern. But since I am actually going to be keeping these, I'm not going to do that, or that's not what I did. All I did was I got a nice sheet of paper, which I never have anything where I need it. And all I did is I kind of laid it just like this, and I traced the top, and then I tried to keep it as straight as I could by holding it down, and I traced as far as I could, making sure everything was lined up. And then once I got far enough, I held it and then straightened it out, and then matched my seams, which I don't know if you can see that, but I matched my bottom seams and folded it in half and just kind of held it there, matching up all the edges, and then traced it. And then I just marked where the seams were and then traced, or you know, went up here like that. So now all you have to do after you get everything traced out is to straighten all your lines by using a straight edge and making sure everything is as straight as you can get it. Same with the top, unless of course you added a little curve at the top. That's when you would want to use like a French curve or something to go ahead and add that little bit of a curve. Same with the leg. You want to make sure that that curve is nice and straight. And you're going to do the exact same thing for the back part. You need to add also your seam allowance for your seams. And technically you don't have to add a seam allowance for the top, because in the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use fold over elastic. So you can just either extend it out a little bit if you want that to be a little wider, and then just add your fold over elastic. I'm just going to leave mine the way it is, and I put that was a 3/8 seam allowance. For the gusset, it's basically the same thing. I forgot to explain that. The gusset is this piece of fabric that sits right here, and all you have to do is the same thing, just fold it inside out, you know, make your pattern from that. And then a good idea to go ahead and test is to make sure that your front and your back seams right here on the edges match up, because it's okay if it's a little off, but you don't want it to be like crazy off. But yeah, there we go. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna get my fabric and cut it out and everything, and then we'll get to sewing. Okay, so for today's fabric, I am using this lovely spandex or lycra fabric, and I'm also going to use some cotton fabric for my gusset, which this is a jersey fabric, and I think this is only a 2-way stretch. It's not very stretchy, but it'll work for what I have it, for what I need it for. And I'm not gonna do a lining, I'm just gonna leave it as is. But if you do a lining, you're just gonna cut 2 of each piece. So 2 of the front, 2 in the back. And now I'm just gonna find my stretchy part, which I have a 4-way stretch. As you can see, it is stretchy on all parts. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold my fabric, and I'm gonna try to keep it as even and straight as possible. I usually do this on the floor simply because it's easier to spread out your fabric, but for these purposes, I am gonna do it right here. Okay, so there's my front piece. And there's our back part. I am just gonna cut out my gusset as well. All right, so now I got my gusset. So now I'm gonna clear all this out and show you the process. All right, so here are all my fabric pieces that you should now have, or yeah, if you trace out your own pattern. So now all we're gonna do is we are going to go ahead and attach everything together. So my fabric does not have a right side or a wrong side, which I don't think it does. It might. At least I can't tell if it has a right side or a wrong side. Well, I don't know, maybe it does. Because it kind of looks like to me this one's more matte than the other side. But then again, I don't know. So basically what you want to do is you want to put your right sides together along with the gusset. And if we look here, the gusset's going to be on the front part, but we also want to have it to where the seam is going to be covered, if that makes any sense. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to attach your gusset to your back pattern first. And so right sides together with the gusset on the inside and on the back side. So yeah, I said I was gonna try the Elmer's glue trick to hold them together instead of pins. So now we're going to seam across right here at our seam allowance, which is whatever seam allowance you added. And in my case, it's going to be 3/8 of an inch. So I got to get my thread and everything ready, and I'm not going to worry too much about the color of the thread. And I'm going to go ahead and get that ready, and then I'll, move things. I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch, and okay, the width is going to be a 3 and the length is going to be a 2. So we want it to be kind of narrow, and usually I set my tension to about a 2 because sometimes I've noticed that the thread pops whenever you start, putting it on. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sew through all 3 layers of my crotch area. So it's going to be pretty simple, pretty easy. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. It looks so weird. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but I got some skipped stitches. I don't know if that's from the fact that I used glue stick on there or what. Or maybe I don't have everything threaded correctly. Alright, so now this is what you should have so far. So you have your front and your back with your gusset seamed with your back. Now all we're going to do is we're going to flip our gusset over just like this, and if you want at this point you can trim this seam down just a little bit. I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to leave it. And now we're gonna lay this out just like this, and it should match up pretty closely to your top part. If it doesn't, it's no big deal because, well, I mean, we're gonna be adding fold over elastic to it. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slightly stretch my fabric out and I'm gonna pin it. Now this is where you can choose to either go ahead and put your fold over elastic on your legs just like this, or we can go ahead and close our legs and going around, which is what I'm going to do. I find that it makes it a little more cleaner and you don't have to worry about seaming up the fold over elastic. So now all we got to do is put our sides together and seam up. Oop, excuse me. Alright, so now we have our seams all sewed up. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and get our fold over elastic. In order to do this, we're gonna make a loop. And what I did the last time to measure is I just took a flexible measuring tape and I measured a round like this. I just measured from the seam all the way around. So I measured about 25.5, and I think the last time I did this I measured 26, so it's a little different, but that's fine. So I measured 25.5, and the way I did it last time is I took 25% of that off. If you want it to be tighter, go up by 5%, like instead of 25%, go 30%. And I would just go from there. So I'm just gonna grab a tool that tells you how to do math. Yay, my tool for math. Okay, so 25.5 inches times 0.25, which is 25%. So that's gonna be 6.375 inches, and I'm just gonna subtract that. 6.375, and that's going to give me 19.125 inches. So that's going to be the magic number. When you're doing this, if you get like a weird number like that, I would either round up or round down. That's completely up to you. So I'm just going to stick with 19 inches just to make it even. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab my fold over elastic, and I'm just gonna choose a color that I think will look cute with this. I usually go for like a bright color. I usually don't do pink, but I like purple. Okay, so I'm gonna choose this color. And I'm just gonna measure out 19 inches for both of my legs because they should be the same. And since we're gonna be seaming these together, I would suggest that you add like maybe ½ inch to that. So that way you have a good seam, or even a ½ inch would do, as long as you do them both the same. So I'm gonna do a ½ inch. For some reason my scissors don't want to cut. All right, and I'm just gonna measure my other one like that. And we're gonna try to cut them. There. All right. And we're also gonna do the exact same thing for our band for the waist. I'm just gonna measure straight across here. So for my waist, I have 16, and we're just gonna double that because I don't feel like going all the way around. I already tried it once, and so it's about 32 inches around, supposedly. So now we're gonna do 32.25. Oh. Sometimes things don't work for me. 32.25 times 0.225, which is 25%. And then we get that number, and I'm going to subtract it from 32.25, which is going to give me 24.1875. So I'm just going to go with 24 inches. I don't know if I'm going to have enough. Okay, there is 24. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit so that way I can sew them together. And we're going to set this aside because we might be able to use it for something else. All right, so now I have my waist and my legs there. All I am going to do is I am going to seam my fold over elastic together, and whichever side you want out, either the shiny or the matte side, that's where you're gonna place your seam basically. So I want the matte side to be out. I'm gonna sew on my shiny side. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and attach our fold over elastic to our leg. And you should be able to identify which one's the waist and which ones are the legs. So we're going to do it in the method of finding our 4 areas to match up our seams. Now for the leg, that might be a little difficult. Usually points of reference are very helpful. So I am just gonna fold it in half like this and match up my seams. And that's gonna be my point of reference. Basically, I'm gonna call that my centers. And I'm gonna place a straight pin right there. And that's gonna mark one of my corner, or one of my 4 points that we are creating. And if it's a little off, that's okay. It's not gonna be like super perfect. And then I'm gonna use my seams as my other edges. So everything should line up. And we are gonna do the same thing with our elastic. Alright, now what I like to do whenever I'm adding fold over elastic is I like to have my right side out. Instead of, usually you flip it over and then seam it. This is so that way we can hide that the thread, the seam where we're going to be adding it. So basically, whichever side you want out, you're going to actually have it facing towards the inside. As you can see, this is my inside right there. So all I am going to do is I am going to match up where I want my seam to be. So I'm going to match up my seams here, and I'm going to try to line it up with the little line on the fold over elastic. And this is the right side of my fabric. So I am just going to line everything up, and as I'm sewing, I am going to be pulling my elastic to line up with where I put my first pin, which is right there. So hopefully you'll be able to see it whenever I'm sewing what exactly I'm doing. Okay, so now I've got this completed, and it should look something like this. It's gonna look kind of, you know, ruffled, but that's the whole point. So if you went off just a little bit, that's okay. Remember, you're probably gonna be the only one who notices these mistakes. So don't worry too much about it. You'll get better. This is only maybe my third pair of underwear where I add fold over elastic. So yeah, I'm still not good at it either. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it over just like this, and we're gonna go all the way around again. What I like to do, which I don't know if it's the right way, but I like to put the zigzag right there over that seam, just going over it like that. And I am also going around the front part of it. So whichever side is your right side, that's the side you're going to be sewing onto, unless of course you want, you know, a different look. Then you do it the way you do it. And as you're sewing, be sure to stretch out your elastic and everything, because you don't want to get those ripples in there. Okay, so this is what you should have once you get done. A nice clean seam on your front side of your work and a nice stretch. So now I'm just going to go and do the other side the exact same way, and you're also going to do the waist the same way. Being sure to quarter your, you know, the round. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up, and I will be back with the finished product. And here we are. Here is my finished product. And yeah, I think it came out pretty good. I kind of messed up in some places, but I'm not going to point them out because you really can't tell and as you can see, it is super stretchy. And yeah, I'm not gonna wear these for you guys because I think you get the idea. But yeah, you see how simple it is to make your own panties, and you don't even use a yard of fabric. You use maybe like a 1/4 yard of fabric, so all really you would have to buy is 1 yard of fabric and you would be good. So here's the pattern here, and I think it came out pretty good. Sorry. And I did try out the Elmer's glue trick, and I think it was probably a fail slash a win, because it did stick the pieces together, but at the same time I started skipping stitches, so I don't know if it was because of the glue or what. But yeah, pretty simple, easy, and as you can see, whenever you do the fold over elastic the way I showed you, you only have 1 seam that is visible on the front. Now when you flip it over, you do have 2 seams on the back. That's simply because we had to put 2 seams on there to, you know, attach it to our fabric. But I will try these on and let you know how they fit. So I just tried them on and they fit great. I mean, I think they actually fit better than the ones that I purchased at TJ Maxx, the pattern that I made it from. Anyways, there's the seams, and I kept saying seams. I meant lines of stitches throughout the video, but I think you get the idea. It's super easy. I know this video was super long, but I wanted to make sure that you guys saw everything. And yeah, I hope that this gave you some inspiration to try it. I didn't even know how easy it was. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and it gives you some inspiration to go out and try sewing some of your own panties. So I'll see you on the next video, and yeah, stay crafting and stay safe out there, guys. Bye.